Now, some people, because some seats are flipping, some people are concerned about fraud. Can you explain, in your experience, is there potential for fraud?
I do not declare myself a winner until the votes are certified and done. Every vote counts, and just because somebody's ahead on election night, they could be behind by the time the election gets certified, because as votes get added to the tally, the numbers change, right? And so we can't predict how that's going to change. And one trend tends to be that some of those later ballots tend to be more liberal voters, but that's not always the case either. So I've seen situations where the more liberal candidate was ahead on election night and the more conservative won in the end. So I think it's just a matter that we need to make sure that every vote is counted accurately, and that the county elections officials do their due diligence. They do all their checks and balances. They do a very thorough audit, and they do a manual recount of every contest on the ballot. So every contest on the ballot gets recounted at least once to verify the machine count. And then in the end, they certify the results. And yes, sometimes elections are won by one vote. I've actually had elections that are tied. I had a recreation district where two people were tied for one position, and the law allows you to determine who the winner is by lot, by chance. So you might flip a coin or draw straws. I personally have recommended musical chairs, and nobody has picked up on that idea. But it's an interesting.
There will be more effort, more competition.
Have one seat, play the song. When the song ends, whoever's in that seat gets it. So I think there's just a lot that goes into conducting elections and managing an election and canvassing election results. It's all open and transparent for anyone to come by and watch and observe what's happening. And then in the end, if someone feels like there was inappropriateness that was done or that the ballots weren't counted accurately, they can call for a recount. And that would be a voter paid for recount where every ballot is scrutinized, every ballot is manually tallied. And I've been through these recounts, and observers can come in and watch the recount take place. And I have never had a situation where it changed the vote. Yeah.
Now, in terms of the verification process in California, is the signature, right? There's a lot of effort gone into making sure the signature is matching.
Yeah. And I want to say compare, not match. But I actually did a bill this last year that allows a mail ballot voter. So I got my ballot in the mail, and I like to sit down at my kitchen table with my family and talk about the issues and vote my ballot. And I wait to the last minute because I want to hear and see from all the candidates and issues, but I want my ballot to count election night. Well, I did a bill that allows that voter to walk into a voting location, sign an affidavit. They can key you in now as an in-person voter, and that ballot goes right in the ballot box and counted election night. So Placer County is one county that really jumped on this idea and promoted it to their voters, and they had an overwhelming response, and that helps them during their canvass, because if they can get those voters who hold that mail ballot till the last day, and instead of mailing it back, which would take time, or dropping it in a drop box,
faster, right?
You could just, if that voter just walks it into a precinct, they don't have to be issued a new ballot. They can just use that ballot they voted at home and do the check-in procedure, and it goes right in the ballot box and counted election night. So that helps speed things up, definitely.
So the idea in California is that you want to get participation as much as possible.
Yes.
That's why there's a lot of ways of voting. And
more ways, more days, and yeah, we want to make sure voting is extremely convenient, which I believe it is, and yet I get so frustrated when turnout is 60% or 70% or...
Because it's so easy, right? It comes...
And if that were great on a test, we'd be failing. So we need to get people to understand the importance of their vote and how every vote matters, and encourage people to get registered and cast that ballot for every election, not just the exciting ones when we have the president on the ballot, but we have local races all the time where school boards and water boards and fire boards and city council are getting elected, and those issues really impact your wallet. They really impact your home and your community. And yet, a lot of people don't even pay attention to those contests. So there's a lot of drop-off, that we call them down ballot races, where voter turnout, they get voter fatigue going through the ballot. They just vote the top of the ticket and then.
Have you ever seen fraud for those people that really are worried about election fraud here in California?
It's minor, minuscule. You have a greater chance of being hit by lightning than having voter fraud. We had one situation where we had a ballot come into us, checking the signature on it. The signature did not compare to the signature on file. We reached out to the voter, said, hey, your signature doesn't compare on your ballot. She says, what ballot? We said, well, we received a ballot from you. And she's like, I haven't voted my ballot. In fact, I never received my ballot. Turned out her landlady got the ballot from the mailbox and had voted it and turned it in. So then we referred that case to the district attorney's office, and that person was prosecuted. So in my 27 plus years, that was my one case of voter fraud. There's been issues of fraud in other counties in the state. So I think our protection of the vote and our systems in place really make sure that it makes it extremely difficult for anyone to commit voter fraud. And here's the reality. Going in voter by voter and trying to alter an election is extremely difficult and time consuming. It's so much easier to just spread lies and deceit on social media and change people's minds about issues that way, which is why I partnered with CITED, the California Initiative for Technology and Democracy, to do a bill that would ban deepfakes prior to an election, because we want to make sure that whatever people are reading and seeing and hearing is truthful and accurate, and not somebody just trying to cause chaos in an election.
So like AI-made statements that are fake?
Yeah, like don't vote on Tuesday, we're going to reschedule the election, you're going to vote on Friday. Or you don't need to sign your mail ballot envelope, just turn it in without, or you don't even need the envelope, just put there's lots of things that people could say and do that would cause chaos in an election. And this has been done for hundreds of years. There was a time where we would get up in the morning at 5 in the morning and put door hangers on people's doors telling them where to go vote. You go vote at the local fire station. Well, if you really wanted to mess with the election, you would tell them to go vote at the library. So then that person getting up in the morning, and you're in a chaotic morning, you're getting your kids in the car and lunches together, you're getting yourself ready to school for work, and you get in the car and you drop off the kids, and then you go to the wrong location to vote. Imagine your frustration, and you just give up and you say, forget it, I got to go to work, I don't have time for this. So chaos, there's always been those actors out there that want to create chaos in elections and create uncertainty and put out false information. But the tools now are so good. You can take your image, your voice, and have you say and do something you have not said or done. And imagine if it's an elections official or our Secretary of State putting out false, using her image, her voice to put out false statements. That would wreak havoc on our elections.